Thanks for staying with us. The Zimbabwean Exemption Permit is due to expire at the end of this year. Minister and the Presidency, Mondli Gungubele, announced this during a briefing held this week. The decision by Cabinet could see thousands of Zimbabweans who are currently living and working in South Africa left with no other option but to go back home should they not be able to secure, for example, a work permit, right? Let's talk about this. I'm joined by Dennis Juru, President of the International Cross-Border Traders Association. Dennis, good to have you on the program tonight. You're speaking to us, I believe, from Johannesburg. Welcome to Newsfeed PM. Let's begin with the practical, real-life implications of this decision for Zimbabweans and the number of people who you know to be likely to be affected.
Hi, Tebekile, how are you? Thank you for having me. This is a very, very difficult time for the ZEP permit holders. Those people have a number of problems they are going to face. For example, there are some people who have got bond, which is mortgage. Those people are having a problem because they will lose the property that they have been paying for the past 10 years. We are going to see a number of dropouts at schools. We are going to see a number of illegal immigrants in South Africa, as the South African government have decided to deregularize the people who are illegal in the country. We are going to see companies closing, companies that were being run by ZEP holders. We are also going to see South African companies moving out of South Africa, going to countries where there is smooth human resources. We are going to see a lot of things such as ZEP holders getting involved in criminal activities, as they would be having no jobs, they will lose all their properties. There are so many implications that this thing has to the ZEP holders.
So, in the announcement that the ZEP will expire on the 31st of December this year, Cabinet here in South Africa also said that there'd be a 12-month grace period, shall we call it, where people can be able to apply for other permits, a work permit, for instance. Are you going to assist and encourage people to use that avenue?
Yes, I will do that. But remember, that system has been there before, and it's a very, very difficult system that a few people won't be able to qualify for using that system. That system was there when the South African government initiated the ZEP. They knew that all ZEP holders, or most of them, couldn't qualify in those systems. So it means all those people will lose their permits. If it was easy, the South African government was supposed to just transfer the ZEP holders from the ZEP to this ordinary system, which has been there.
So, you mentioned the origins, the birth of this system. It was around 2009 that South Africa introduced a process basically to give legal status, as it were, to about 180,000 or so Zimbabweans who are already in the country. The basis of that was the political and socio-economic upheaval back in Harare and other parts of Zimbabwe. For those who will have to go back after December, are they going back to a Zimbabwe that is worse than what they left behind?
Tebekile, I think I will need to correct you. I will need to correct the whole world about the ZEP background. I think from the minister is misinterpreting the origins of the ZEP.
Okay.
Remember, at first, it was dispensation of Zimbabwe permit, which started on the 1st of January 2010, not 2009. It was a 4-year permit. And this was initiated by then Minister of Home Affairs, Minister Nkosazana Dlamini Zuma. And that permit expired on the 31st of December 2014. 294,511 Zimbabweans applied for that permit, but only 242,731 managed to get that permit, and 51,780 applications were rejected. So in 2014, the then Minister of Home Affairs, Minister Mondli Gungubele, announced that on the 12th of August, there was going to be a new permit called the Zimbabwe Special Permit. And that permit was to start from the 1st of January 2014 to the 31st of December 2017. And the ZEP now was announced in April 2014, and it started on the 1st of January 2018 to the 31st of December 2021. And the number declined to 180,000. Currently, 180,000 Zimbabweans are ZEP holders.
Mm-hmm. So what I was asking you is, and thank you for that clarification, those who do have to go back to Zimbabwe, are they going back to a country that's worse than what they left behind?
I can assure you, Tembekile, that from what I'm hearing from our members, 90% of the ZEP holders are CTA members. No one has intention to go back to Zimbabwe. Remember, 90% of the people of the ZEP holders had asylum seeker certificates showing that they were running away from a system in Zimbabwe, or their lives were in danger. Nothing has changed. ZANU-PF is still in charge. They were running away from ZANU-PF, and ZANU-PF is still in charge. It's very unfortunate that we're in 2010, when Zimbabweans decided to remove Robert Mugabe and ZANU-PF, South Africa went to Zimbabwe and reinserted Robert Mugabe, whom the ZEP holders were running away from, and the same person is still in charge, though he is in grave, but he's still in charge in the name of Emmerson Mnangagwa, and not even a single ZEP holder will go to Zimbabwe, according to what the ZEP holders are saying. They say they will not go to Zimbabwe, and they will rather remain illegal in South Africa than going back to Zimbabwe.
Are you saying then to me, Dennis, tonight that South Africa, because of its involvement in some of the SADC political maneuvering in Zimbabwe, especially in the early 2000s, owes the thousands of Zimbabweans who are in South Africa now a continued stay under what is now going to be an expired dispensation?
Yes, especially in 2010 when President Mbeki went to Zimbabwe and negotiated for the coming back of Robert Mugabe after losing to Dr. Morgan Tsvangirai. They realized that they made a mistake, and they gave Zimbabweans an opportunity to be in South Africa. Remember also, those ZEP holders were in South Africa legally. I always hear some people saying they were illegal in South Africa. Those people were legally in South Africa. That's why they could produce passports in order to get the ZEP permits. And also, they had asylum seeker certificates, which the government persuaded them to surrender and get the ZEP permits. If that is the case, we advise the government to give the asylum seeker holders, certificate holders, back their asylum seeker certificates than to kick them out of the country, because few of them can qualify for this so-called alternative permit.
Mm-hmm. So, Dennis, would you support further legal action or the continuing legal action? I must admit, not too familiar with where the last court case is currently. I know there was a matter before the courts about 2 weeks ago. Would you support another similar court case, especially now that there's been a final decision announced by the South African government to say that the ZEPs will expire at the end of the year?
Come again?
Will you or would you support a court challenge? Would you support any attempt to take the South African government to court to extend the ZEP?
we have no choice. We have left with no choice but to support the court case. But at the same time, we advise the Zimbabwean government, if they are sincere with people who are in South Africa, the ZEP holders, to engage the South African government. As ICTA, we will try by all means to engage the South African government so that they can give back the ZEP permit. And at the same time, we are asking the South African government, instead of calling this a grace period, to extend, because once it's called a grace period, it means someone is staying in South Africa without a valid permit. It will be just a grace period living with an expired permit. So it's going to be very, very difficult for companies to have plans with someone who has an expired document. It's going to be very, very difficult for banks to operate with people who have expired documents. And we urge the South African government to revise their decision and exempt some of the people, like those I have mentioned earlier, to say those people with bond, those people with some official programs to do in South Africa, to be exempted from this discontinuation of Zimbabwe exemption permits.
And sadly, though, if that were to be the route, ultimately the people who would be disadvantaged then would be the poorest Zimbabweans who are in South Africa, because when you look at people who qualify for bonds, etc., these would be Zimbabweans who are now part of what, middle-class South African society.
Can you come again?
I was saying, Dennis, if you're saying the South African government should, for example, give an extension of the ZEP for Zimbabweans living in the country who are in some sort of formal arrangement, or those who have bonds, which is what you've referenced, that would benefit, wouldn't it, ultimately middle-class South Africans rather than the poorest who say they are so desperately in need to be in South Africa to make some kind of money to send home?
Yes, yes. I think the government, in the process of considering some of these ZEP holders, they should also include the poor. No one needs to be out of their country. Everyone wants to be in their native country. When you see someone outside the country, if you see your child going into neighbor's house, it means there's a problem in the house. There's no one who enjoys to be outside your country or your home. So the South African government needs to revise and see who can qualify for a ZEP, a new ZEP, if they can't accommodate everyone, but there should be a number of people that they should accommodate in another special permit for Zimbabweans, including those who are poor, including those who are running companies in South Africa, including those who are in essential sectors. And at the same time, we should know that when Zimbabwe had problems, most companies moved from Zimbabwe to South Africa, and for institutional memory, they had to bring a number of workers so that they can teach South African workers.
Oh, pardon me. I think I cut you off there, Dennis. Thank you so much for speaking to us tonight. Grateful for your time. Thank you.
Thank you.